Hello, my name is Talia Cerniglia. I'm a fourth year special education teacher, and I decided to do my video on IEP Direct. Most of you probably have heard of IEP Direct. It's a resource for special education teachers to input, edit, and submit IEPs for individualized education plans. This is my second year using IEP Direct, but I find it very beneficial and easy to access via Google. All you have to type in is iepdirect.com and you click on the first link. There are a lot of videos that you can watch for professional development where it takes you step by step through the document so that teachers become very familiar, and there are a lot of visuals for you to watch as well. When you first log into IEP Direct, you're given an ID number and you create your own password. Once you log into IEP Direct, all of your students are listed there. All of your students that have IEPs within that year span, their names are highlighted in black. If some of your students have reevaluations coming up, the color of your students' names change to red so that you're aware as you look at each of their IEPs. When you look at all of your students on the main screen, and let's say you need to edit one of your students' IEPs because the compliance date's coming up, you simply click on the student's name and then click on the document with that current year date. The first page of each of the IEPs just gives basic demographic information about the students, which is wonderful. The birth date, their last name, their first name, contact information, personal assignments, and the classes that they're currently in, special alerts, and committee meeting or agreement information from the prior meeting that you had with that student so that you can really read through it and familiarize yourself with it. At the bottom of that is the attendance. So you'll see the chairperson, the special education teacher's name, the general education teacher's name, and any therapists or speech teachers that attended the meeting as well. It's really important to familiarize yourself with this document because as you go through the document, there's a lot of information. The first part of IEP Direct under the students' background information comes the evaluations and reports. So for example, there's a teacher report, which the general education teacher submits, report card information, which is the averages of your student in each subject area, any speech and language updates, any psychology evaluation updates or educational updates is where the information is submitted in this section, along with any assessment scores. For example, my school right now uses the STAR assessment scores, so special education teachers are mandated to input those current scores as well. As you go down on IEP Direct, you're able to see the standardized test results from previous years. So let's say I get a student, in the beginning of the year, I can check his or her IEP to see how they scored on the previous year's state assessment, which is pretty beneficial for teachers in order to choose what skills they really need to work on. If you've moved down in IEP Direct, the next set of information is academic achievement, functional performance, and learning characteristics. This is pretty much the plot of the IEP, where the special education teacher inputs daily living skills, speech and language reports, reading, writing, math, strengths and weaknesses, and then academic development. This is a really great place for teachers to look at the beginning of the year when they receive their roster to see what students are strong in and what students are weak in. Moving down in the IEP, you have social development part. This is also really beneficial and really important for teachers to make notes in so that their previous year's teacher and the following year's teacher are aware of any social problems, strengths, and even weaknesses. As you move down, there's also physical development. You want to notify the degree and quality of your students' motor and sensory development, the students' strengths, and then physical development. Moving down in the IEP, there's management needs. which is really beneficial. So teachers can see, oh, special education teachers need to seat their students in preferential seating, which is at the front, in the front of the room where they sit next to the source of information. Another piece of information that might be put in the management needs is if a student has a hearing loss and they need access to an FM system. Here's where special education teachers would put that information. Something else that needs to be inputted into the IEP are any behavior strategies or BIP plans that are put in place, communication needs, and assistive technology that the student benefits from. Following that is where the special education teacher inputs all reading, writing, math, and speech language or counseling goals. These goals are measured in a criteria. There's a method, there's a responsibility, there's a criteria period, and then there's a schedule of when these goals are going to be checked. Each of these goals are progress monitored by a teacher. So for example, in November, the special education teacher would progress monitor the goals to see how much progress they're making. Again in March, and then at the end of the year in June. After the goals are inputted, the special education teacher notes the program that their student is going to be in the following year. So for example, if I have a student in the integrated co-teaching class this year, and I want to recommend that student into the integrated co-teaching class the following year, the program needs to be there, the start and end date, the frequency, period, the duration, the location, and the provider in which who's going to be working with that student. Following that are just some modifications and accommodations for that student, which is really important, especially testing accommodations, and whether or not these testing accommodations are for every subject or just reading, just math. This IEP Direct is very organized, it's very straightforward, and it's easy to input information. It's on one document, so you don't have to be switching in and out of different tabs for each student. The only time you need to move on is when you want to change to a different student to update the IEP. Something else that I want to talk to you about are different letters and reports that you can print from this document. There are many different letters and reports that can be printed. The IEP form can be printed. The progress report by each individual area can be printed. Most of the time, the progress report is printed in November when report cards go out, March when report cards go out, and June at the closure of the year. Any other documents that you need to print out, let's say if you're declassifying a student, you would also go to the letter and report section and click on CSE declassification report, where that can be printed and sent home to parents. Another thing that's really beneficial on IEP Direct are the listing of your students that are in alphabetical order. You can also click on all of your students at one time so that you can print out each of their progress reports at one time in one PDF document. So here's where I just want to show you what IEP Direct looks like before the closure of this video. If you look at the top portion of IEP Direct, you'll notice I have 7 students here. All of their names are listed. However, they have different colors next to their names, which means their IEP is almost at compliance date and they need to begin being updated. If you look at the top of IEP Direct, you'll be able to see where it says My Students Letter and Reports. So take a look right now at the top. You see My Students is highlighted. If you move slightly to the left, you'll see Messaging, Letters and Reports, and then Listings. I'm going to now click on Letters and Reports just so you're able to see exactly what it looks like in case you start working at a school where they own this program, and as a special education teacher, you will be using it. Once you click on Letters and Supports, here are all the different types of letters and reports that you could be printing out for each student. At the top, you'll notice that they come in different languages: English, Spanish, French, Portuguese. If you click on, let's say, a progress report, which I'm going to do by area right now, I can show you exactly what it looks like when you are to print it out. Let me just get to the students really quick so you can see exactly what one of these reports would look like for one of your students. I'm going to click on progress report by area so that we can see it subject by subject. And then we will be done with the video on Iep Direct. You'll notice that it's processing and it comes up in a PDF. The PDF looks just like this. You'll notice where it says 1 PG, 1 PS. That's how you're monitoring student reports and goal monitoring. So, for example, if a student gets PG in the first trimester of school, that means they're progressing gradually. If a student gets PS, that means the student is progressing satisfactory. So from one semester of the school year to the second, you want to see some growth. And then by the third, they should be mastering that goal, because after the third goal or this third trimester, the student's annual review is coming up. And at that time, all goals should be mastered. I hope you enjoyed watching this Iep Direct tutorial. You can always contact me via YouTube for any questions, guidance, and support on Iep Direct, or you can also watch editorials and videos through YouTube on how to access and use Iep Direct. Thanks so much for your time and have a great day.